But there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic. The last topic, I believe. From youngsters in school to moving on to college to their feelings after college. So I don't know if this stat is going to be surprising to anybody, but this headline reads: 42% of people with college degrees said it didn't end up being worth it. S, or sorry, WSJ Wall Street Journal poll says. So I'll read a bit of this to give more context. A majority of Americans now say college degree. Wait, how can you say 42% and then in the same breath say a majority of Americans? Interesting. A survey from the Wall Street Journal and the research organization, the NORC, at University of Chicago, found that 56 of that percentage is the majority. 56 of Americans say earning a 4-year degree isn't worth the cost. They tie their skepticism to mounting student debt and the idea that tangible job skills aren't always gained during the time in college, according to the survey. The survey's finding highlighted a swelling skepticism, about the value of a higher education and underscore a decade-long decline in college enrollment. College enrollment in the United States dipped from 21 million students in 2010 to 18 million in 2021. Insider previously reported this enrollment trend was further exacerbated when the pandemic hit. Yeah, that makes sense. A period when college were faced with particularly low enrollment numbers. Yeah, I mean, people can actually go to college. People feel like it wasn't even worth it. Those who were closest to this college age demographic, people between the ages of 18 and 34, were particularly prone to questioning the value behind a college degree, a survey found. Even those with college degrees are weighing whether or not it was really worth it. The what is it? Oh yeah, Wall Street Journal survey found that 42% of people with college degrees said it didn't end up being worth it. This percentage swelled to more than 10% points compared to the findings of from two polls from the last decade, the Wall Street Journal report. Okay, so going back up a bit, Ace, it said that 56% of Americans say college doesn't seem worth it. Is that what it said? Of college
Yeah, the
of
distinction is 56% of Americans say that, 42% of people with degrees are
Got
saying
it.
that.
There we go. Thank you. That's the clarification. So I don't know if it's an age old story at this point, but it does go back to something we talked about a while ago about like the worth of college. Is it something you recommend? How do people feel about it? And I guess it's just worth kind of digging deeper into the conversation. And in particularly, I don't know if you have the other thing that I pulled up, Ace, but you don't need to pull it up. You don't need to pull it up yet, just yet. But it kind of comes down to I don't know if you guys are. Sorry, say again.
I
Oh,
didn't say
okay.
anything.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys are aware. I don't know if most people are aware, but I don't think people are. I don't think it's very surprising. I think a lot of people do have somewhat of a notion that college may not be worth it, but the stats say very much otherwise. And what I mean by that is, if you look at like almost every statistic of how well people do based off of how, on average, if they have a college degree or not, it shows that people on average or like the medians or no matter like basically all by all metrics, you fare better if you have a college degree. So that's what I kind of want to dig and get you guys' input on. Why do you think that? I guess yeah. Do you think with what you know, or maybe even based on how you feel, that college or higher education is worth it? And if the stats show that it is, why do you think people still have their doubts? Um, we'll start with you, Ghost. What do you think?
So, I guess the way I look at it, personally, just from my opinion, I don't think college degrees should be necessary for you to get a good job and have a career and do well for yourself. But getting getting a college degree, especially I guess in the past 20, 30 years, it shows, like, I think the reason that the data may suggest that people are doing better with college degrees is because it was pushed so heavily since, I mean, I don't know the exact time frame, I'm not a historian, but for the past few decades, I think it's really been pushed heavily. Get your college degree, otherwise you're going to be flipping burgers for the rest of your life. And if you did get your college degree and you heeded that advice, even if you don't think it was worth it necessarily, you still probably ended up doing something with your life because you bought into what people were telling you and you buckled down, you did the hard work, and you showed yourself that you were capable of doing it. Whereas if you didn't get a college degree, I don't want to say you were like a bum or lazy and all that. Like, I'm not saying that at all, but I think it's fair to say that maybe you just weren't as dedicated or you had other stuff going on. And just, I think that part of the reason why that the stats may show that is because, what I was just saying, really, it's kind of just like if you weren't doing that, you were kind of, there weren't really a lot of other great alternatives for you to be getting into. And now I think it may be shifting because people are realizing that even with all the people that are getting their college degrees and spending all this money, the tuitions have increased so much that it's you're paying off debt for so long and you're not getting jobs that warrant that level of time commitment and money, and then it's spiraling into you're just getting further into debt and you feel like you just shouldn't have got it in the first place. And even if you wouldn't have your current position that you do have now, it would have been better than being in severe debt for a good chunk of your life. So I guess to summarize, I don't think getting your college degree has to be worth it. There are benefits to it, and like some jobs you have to get it. Like if you want to be an engineer, you want to be a lawyer, doc, you have to get your college degree. But it shouldn't be a requirement for you to have a good paying job and a
which
good
are some of the highest paying career options.
uh, lawyer, doctor, sure, engineer, I guess. Like you can get into the business world without a degree in business management or whatever, and that would probably be the highest paying
Mm,
as financial. I could be wrong, but I don't
pull up that link that I have there, Ace. Some of the stats. Um, so what you were saying before is definitely an interesting thing. So you're kind of saying that to some degree, maybe it's not directly like the degree itself, but there's some like a level of like it's not necessarily cause and correlation thing. Like you're saying, maybe like the mindset behind a person that goes to college might be might be a little bit different from the person that doesn't go to college, and maybe that's where some of the results lie. Is that what you're basically saying?
yes.
Mm. And I think that actually does make a bit of sense. So we have pulled up here like some stats. Because again, this is something that because I've heard this, you know, conversation a lot, and people always, there are a good number of people that would argue that college isn't worth it. But when you look at a lot of metrics between earning and even employment rates by educational attainment, it shows that you're less likely to be unemployed the higher level of educational attainment you have, so your degree, and you earn more statistically. So it's worth. Now I guess that gets into like what are you determining the worth to be? Obviously, these degrees do come with most likely more debt, but if you can pay off the debt, again, it gets into like what you determine worth, and we can get into that. And I guess it's worth noting. I don't want to read all this data, but I guess to start off with, I guess the lowest and I guess I'll go over the lowest and the greatest if that's even worth it. So, if you have less than a high school diploma, the median usual weekly earnings is a little above $600, and if the employment rate is what is that 8.3% compared to if you have your doctor. Oh, you know what? I won't even go to doctor. I'll just stay at bachelor's, which is like where people normally go to. If you get your bachelor's, then the median usual income weekly earning is $1,300. So basically double if you don't have your high school diploma, and the employment rate drops to 3.5%. And to
Unemployment rate.
oh yeah, the unemployment rate. Pardon me. And to give some extra like information, there's a note that goes into expound that how it says the data are for persons over 25 and over. Earnings are for full-time wage salary and salary workers, and the source is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you know it's a close what a very accurate assessment of degrees and earnings and unemployment rates. So again, and I have another some more stats if we want to look at that. But yeah, I guess one more time to reiterate, if worth is if we just deem worth by like what you will earn based off your degree, you'll usually fare better if you have a higher level of degree or attainment. Um, but I don't want to influence you guys too much, or people in general. What do you think, Ace? Would you say in general that colleges or higher education is worth it? And why do you think people have so much doubts these days?
Um, in general, super general, I think it probably is. Um,
Well, let's dig
but
into
it's
that.
hard to.
Let's dig into that. Why do you say probably when and when we're talking when we say general, we're talking about the average. Where does the doubt for you come in?
I mean, the doubt for me comes in with. I guess this table kind of shows it. It comes in with the value of the degree and the value of the well, yeah, the value of the degree, um and I mean the subject matter in which degree the degree is held in. um so even if this data doesn't break it down, I think um that's what people's like consideration or perception is also coming from. um Not all degrees are going to be the same, obviously not, and you're not going to necessarily expect the same like employment rates for every career field. So that's probably a consideration as well, which is why, like, if we're talking generally, it makes it difficult to say, you know, across the board, um, you should get a degree regardless of the subject matter. Um,
Um, yeah, that's definitely yeah. There's definitely gonna be some niche subject matters that don't require it, but doesn't looking at overall general data lead us to say in the average or in general this almost no matter what subject matter you choose or we're talking about, it is gonna be a safer bet to go with the college attainment.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess
Isn't
so.
that not what you were saying? You weren't talking necessarily about the fields that may not require it, or you were talking about the fact that certain degrees aren't going to get you. Not to, I mean, I guess it's a nuance on the same thing, but they're not going to get you what you want, what you expect necessarily
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah, yeah,
employment or in terms of
yeah.
pay.
Right, and I guess do you
So
think
in that case, there would be some people might say, "Oh, it wasn't worth it. I'm still not employed, and
Exactly.
I still don't have the money I thought I was going to have."
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like I guess if you're having a realistic conversation about college, you do have to get into that as far as like some not all degrees are equated equally, which you would assume most people would think about and know, but maybe that's not the case. But I almost I don't know. It's kind of hard not to look at data that shows that you'll feel better and not and like that's less relevant to me. And maybe I'm being a bit ignorant.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe the comparison isn't as one to one as it should be because, like, yeah, Wes brought up the point. Like this is saying people don't feel that it was worth it, but what exactly what exactly does that mean? And like the again, like the degree that the people have, I feel like would affect their opinion on whether it was worth it or not.
So you, in your mind, you might think that those 42% of people might have chosen degrees that either didn't match what they were expecting as far as income or outcome, whichever one you want to use, and or
Mhm.
it wasn't fulfilling or something like that.
Yeah, or employment, like the the job that the degree would set you up for is such a niche thing or such a hard field to get into, or the other way around. It's so many people are in it that it's difficult to carve out your own niche and actually make the degree um, actually be like valuable in that in
Yeah.
in terms of what you can make. Um, I think that all plays into whether this 42% of people would say
No, that makes
that it
sense.
was valuable.
I guess there's still as part I'm kind of struggling because I mean the question becomes what would be the alternative, and I guess for the purpose of the conversation, the alternative would be okay. So you don't go to college, and I keep harping back to the stats, and maybe should lay off that. But again,
No,
if
that's
it
a good point.
if
Yeah.
it shows that if you no college degree, you're more likely to have this level of average income or this medium income. I have some stats with average income, but you're more likely to have this income, and the employment rate is this much higher. How do you balance that?
That's a great point. That is a great point. And if this is just across the board, all degrees, I feel like most people probably don't have um degrees in professions that are like paying more or require or I should say yeah, pay more you know, require licensing or things like that. Um so that is a
About
good
that.
point. Like if your alternative is not to get a degree, how do you not fall into the range of people with um like some college no degree or high school diploma? Like what what do you do to set yourself apart so you actually still make the same earnings as somebody with a degree?
Exactly. Um, and what about you? What about you, Wes? What are your thoughts on it? College in general worth it or not? And why do you think people have the doubts that they do?
Um, I think that everyone who has the means should go to college for something.
Okay,
One
some
reason,
some definitive answers.
one reason is that society is structured in such a way that it makes it more advantageous to go than not to go. And this
Facts.
is what we're looking at in terms of jobs, in terms of uh, livelihood. The other reason is that it allows you to do something difficult, be able to succeed. And I think that overcoming difficulty or doing something that you endure that is difficult for a period of time uh, differentiates people. I think there's a lot of people who feel that things should be easy, and I think that that colors the way that they approach certain challenges in life. And I think that going through a college degree prepares you to know that not everything is easy. Things that are going to be worthwhile may be challenging, probably are challenging, and you're gonna have to dig in sometimes. You're gonna have to spend the time. You're gonna have to spend the effort. And I think that most or a lot of degree programs can prepare you for that as long as they're in the right challenge level for your particular aptitude and and yeah, I mean, I think to a certain extent, a degree is always going to make you do X amount of work, even if the subject matter is not necessarily difficult. They might make you write that much more, or they might make you read that much more, or whatever, to fill out the degree. I think that's just how they're structured. So it's not to say that there's some inherent magical value in the thing, but I think that the overcoming the difficult task or whatever, going through the thing, um, has a certain value to it. And yeah, so as of right now, 23 in the US, society is structured in a way that makes it makes it quote unquote worth it, even if you don't end up with a degree in specific field that you went to college for, you don't find a job within X amount of time, all these things. Still better to have it than not to have it just because of the way society is structured. Oh, and if you have the means to go, uh, that's to say, you're going to be in the average amount of debt as every other American, or most other Americans. It's also the easiest path to a comfortable life, or toward a comfortable life, I should say. If you don't want to go to college and you have the means to, it's going to be hard because you're going to have to do backbreaking amounts of work to make up for that.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not too biased, but I very much agree with your answer. Um, 'Cause I think even in that you answered. Well, you didn't answer why you think people have their doubts, but I was gonna say, what would you say to a person that does still have doubts about like maybe what they should do? But I think what you said does answer that. I think when people think about college, if you kind of like boil it down, they kind of think of like putting this amount of time in and then getting your paper, and that paper should lead you to get a career in which you can provide for yourself or enjoy life. But what you should think when you're going into it, or when you're thinking about what you're going to, is that college will provide you with, whether you like it or not, um, the experience of having to do, to manage a lot of different things at one time, the ability to potentially go into what you gonna call it, co-op, and what are the programs called again? I didn't do it when I was in college,
Work
surprisingly enough.
study. Oh no, well, no.
Not work study.
Work studies on the campus usually. Yeah, co-op. I mean, co-op is best.
Internship?
And internships, you
Internship.
mean?
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
internships. It allows you opportunity to work with other people's, and learn what it's like to really work with a team. Yeah, it just gives you a lot of different opportunities that you don't get if you don't go. And I think the biggest thing is, if you're strong on the fence about college or you don't want to go, I think the moral of the story is you have to have a hell of a plan, alternative plan. You have to have a really good family business that you can be involved with, or family or friend business, or you have to have a game plan that is going to be sustainable, or already in a field that just doesn't require it. Because even like if you want to talk about trades, you don't need like a whole degree in a lot of cases, but you will have to go through some level of program to attain the proper certification or proper tools you'll need to be able to work within that field at a professional level. So you also have to just keep that in mind. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely a discussion. I won't be surprised if we tackle it again, and it is kind of disheartening, even though college in itself is just a whole disheartening conversation. It's kind of disheartening how a lot of people feel like their college career wasn't worth it, because it almost makes me want to like dig. I'd almost like respectively want to like understand what those individuals, their rationale for why it wasn't worth it, because if it's just the outcome wasn't what they expected, I wonder like what what built up their expectations to that level to where the college and what the path they chose in college didn't meet it, and how could you help people have sound expectations of what college should do for you, and the best way to maneuver college so you do get the the appropriate outcome, if you guys get what I'm saying. But again, for anybody else out there that's peddling that college is like a scam, which it is, but that it's completely a scam and it's not worth it. At the end of the day, there's stats that say it is, unless we're going by some other metric, which I don't know if that's worth getting into. I don't even know. I guess is there any other metric that you would deem worth? Any of you guys? Maybe time. Maybe some people would rather use that time of their life to do other things.
Yeah, let me clarify this point. If you do not go to college, but you want to get equal or greater, and I'm talking about uh, I don't know, reasonable majors, but still, and just in general, even some of the unreasonable ones. If you want to get as much or more out of your time as you would in college, you're going to have to do backbreaking amounts of work and
You said that.
or just already be super intelligent, like, and be able to do that easily. No, no, I said if you don't want to go. Well, if you don't want to go and you want to, work, or if you want to build something of equal or greater value to the job that you may be able to get with the degree. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I mean, also, like, if you think that you could just independently study, like, it's not going to go the way you think it is. I think in most cases.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, for me, the more story is like I I definitely can understand the plight of people that one aren't sure about college and two once they're done with it, they feel like they didn't get the good end of the deal. So in my mind, I really would like to get to a place where we can have a better level of expectation and understand that the difference is going to be greater than if you don't have it. Again, no one's a fan of debt or taking on some of these challenges that college comes with, but the other side of it, or the alternative, is going to be equal level of like yeah, I guess you put it in a good way, like backbreaking in some way. You can't avoid it. I guess is the bottom line. You're always It's always going to come with. There's going to be a pro and con. There's always going to be some level of work you got to put in, or yeah, I guess unless you're a genius, you go from straight from college. I mean, straight from high school, you go to the league. You know.
Uh, an interesting thing is that this earnings thing lists some college no degree, and it's greater than high school diploma,
Yeah,
which
I know. I came up with people that like they didn't finish college, but they were in similar positions than me with me.
yeah, which is an argument in favor of the value thing, pretty strong one. If you literally didn't get the piece of paper that you were there to get,
Yeah.
but you still earn more,
Mm.
that there's something inherently in that. I mean, you know, it's an argument.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, I can imagine this won't be the last time we talk about college and people experience with it. But for now, I think we're all set. There's nothing else we can move on. Yeah, they have so much
Last
data.
point.
They have so much data when it comes to this. Like it's almost like infallible at this point. But anyway, let me change something. Let's set things up. Go here, and then
Oh yeah, try community college too.
damn it, why does this not look
If you're
like?
worried about the debt.
Whatever, we'll just stay here. Even though I like to stay here. Yeah, There's always there's not one avenue you have when it comes to college. Like you don't have to go to the most expensive college in your part of the world. There's way different avenues and cheaper alternatives. Um, but I digress. Okay, yeah, that's all the topics. Nice.